Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, where today I'm going to be talking about the urban fantasy series Motherland, Fort Salem, which ran for 3 seasons between 2020 and 2022. And the series is set in an alternative version of the United States, where witchcraft is a real thing. It is in fact an inheritable genetic trait. Witches possess special vocal cords that allow them to sing up magical effects, such as hurling blasts of force, manipulating the weather, and speaking with the spirits of the dead. Now, in this world, the Salem witch trials were still a case of hysterical persecution, but one where some of the victims actually had a means to fight back. This situation was resolved by a landmark agreement. Witches would be protected by the government, and in exchange, they would supply their magical powers to the United States military. All witches must serve at least one tour of duty or live out their lives in secret as dodgers. Now, while the agreement ended formal persecution of witches, and witches have since fought in all of America's wars, it has not done much to alleviate suspicion and resentment of those with power. Exacerbating the tension between witches and normal humans are the actions of the Spree, a terrorist organisation of witches that opposed the military service agreement and showed their resistance via magical acts of terrorism. The show, in fact, begins with one such attack, where a witch song causes dozens of people to commit suicide at a shopping mall. Now, Raelle Collar, Abigail Bellwether, and Tally Craven are 3 young witches, all newly conscripted to the army, each with varying degrees of enthusiasm for the prospect. Abigail comes from a family that has long excelled in the military and wants nothing more than to do the same. Tally believes that she should use her powers to protect people, and Raelle is there only because the alternative is to spend her life on the run. Compelled to work together as a squad, the 3 must overcome their differences and unlock their full potential as witches, because as they will gradually discover, there are threats in this world that they have not even imagined, and it is far from clear who can be trusted. So Motherland Fort Salem was created by Elliot Lawrence. Development for the show began in 2016, with a pilot produced 2 years later. The pilot was picked up for series, though one of the main cast of the pilot was replaced. On release, the show received mixed reviews, and I'm not surprised about that, for reasons I'll discuss shortly, but it did do well enough to run for 3 seasons and ultimately tell a coherent and complete, if somewhat unevenly structured story. So let's dig into it on a season-by-season basis. So Season 1 is a mixed bag. Most of the flaws are to do with the writing. While the main narrative is engaging and moves quite well, there are a lot of smaller scale issues. For instance, decisions that should have severe and immediate consequences frequently don't seem to have any real repercussions at all. Also, for much of the first season, everyone but the main trio, and maybe one other person, seem kind of awful. The Spree are mass murdering terrorists and the anti-witch activists are violent bigots, but on the other hand, the authorities are callous and obsessed with their own power. There's not a lot of people to like. Now, helping the show overcome these flaws are the casting choices, which are mostly very strong. The core 3 are very likeable and absolutely key to making the show watchable, despite its occasional plotting missteps. The show also demonstrates very diverse casting. We see a much wider variety of body types than are commonly depicted in TV shows, and there are a lot of non-white characters, which is nice to see. Now, second seasons can be tough. It's a delicate balancing act to evolve the show enough to keep it feeling fresh without losing the factors that made it a success to begin with. Oh, and of course, while juggling those 2 completing goals, you also need to deliver enough narrative progress that the audience feel the show is genuinely moving forward. Season 2 of Motherland Fort Salem manages to keep all those balls in the air quite successfully and moves the show's main plot forward with considerable gusto. The scene setting that formed a core part of the first season is largely complete now, allowing the program to focus on its emerging core narrative. Kudos should also go to the writing team for having each of the 3 main witches developing their magical powers in clearly distinctive ways, giving each of them a particular focus that offers them unique opportunities to shine. Now, mind you, not all of the writing is quite so deft. There are many instances of events relying heavily on characters making terrible decisions out of grief, resentment, or purely being short-sighted, and it can get a little frustrating watching supposedly smart people make so many bad decisions, particularly off the back of the many bad choices they already made in Season 1. On the other hand, it is refreshing that so many of those bad decisions do have some kind of in-universe justification. They don't feel like they're happening purely because, well, the plot needs them to happen, otherwise we can't move forward. It's also nice to see the characters feeling the repercussions of some of their more egregious errors this season, something that was missing in Season 1. And then in the final season, the show is an enjoyable and entertaining ride, though the pacing is a bit wonky. I suspect this is a result of a real life injury to Taylor Hickson, who plays Rael. Hickson was hurt in a car accident shortly after filming of this season began and was unable to work for several weeks, which forced a number of rewrites, of which Rael basically not featuring in about 4 episodes is the most obvious. And the show definitely misses Hickson/Rael. The rest of the cast are strong and enjoyable performers. Minute to minute, they fill the gap quite nicely, but the show's overall structure definitely seems to have suffered a bit because of Hickson's injury. Certain events are drawn out more than they probably need, and others, particularly toward the end, feel quite rushed. Also, however good the other actors are, Rael has always, to me, felt first among equals in the ensemble, and her absence is a big void to fill. Overall, though, despite the occasional weaknesses, which were likely caused by real-world problems, Season 3 offers a satisfying conclusion to the program. I particularly liked that the writers recognised that the fact that the show is ending does not magically mean that all of the world's problems will be fixed. They make it quite clear that there's still a huge amount of work left for these characters to do and that they intend to do it, even if it will not be work that we get to see. That's a more nuanced and thoughtful resolution than I expected back when first watching Season 1. So, I mean, if urban fantasy is your thing, I suggest you check this out. It's pretty good. Next time, let's go a bit more cozy, shall we? The 2006 Beatrix Potter biopic, Miss Potter, starring Renee Zellweger in the title role. But that is next time. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've seen Motherland, Fort Salem, let me know what you thought of it.